Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something that, well, one source is calling it the best new comedy of 2025.
Wow, okay. That's quite a statement, especially this early in the year.
It really is. It definitely grabbed my attention. And the source we're digging into here is an NPR review. It's titled Murderbot Review. This sci-fi show is the best new comedy of 2025.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack that. What is this show, Murderbot?
Yeah, and why on earth is it being called a top comedy? What's supposed to make it so special?
We're going to go through the review's points, pull out the key insights.
See what makes it tick, and figure out if this Murderbot is maybe, a hidden gem you won't want to miss. Let's explore it together.
Sounds good.
So first things first, diving in. What is Murderbot?
Okay, so the source says it's a new series. It's on Apple TV Plus book.
Right, Apple TV Plus, and based on books, yeah. The Murderbot Diaries by Mirtha Wells. Pretty popular series.
Very popular. And the show's about a robot.
Played by Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah. And it's a security unit, a sec unit specifically. It's basically rented out to protect this team of planetary scientists.
Okay, but here's the twist, right? The core thing the humans don't know.
Exactly. This sec unit, it's secretly hacked its own control module. It's sentient, has free will.
Which it thinks is a problem.
Totally. It sees it as a malfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big ambition, not taking over or anything. It just wants to be left alone.
To do what?
To watch TV shows. Like thousands of hours of downloaded entertainment it has stored.
That's surprisingly relatable.
Isn't it? So it has to pretend to be this, unthinking machine.
While inside, it's just constantly judging the humans.
Constantly.
Yeah.
For being impractical, unsafe, naive, too emotional, all of it.
And the name Murderbot.
Ah, yeah. The review makes a point of this. It calls itself that because it thinks it sounds cool, not because it's actually homicidal.
Which the reviewer points out it does sound cool.
It kind of does. Okay, so that brings us to the big question from the review. Why is this thing called Murderbot being labeled a comedy?
This is where it gets really interesting. The review argues it takes that classic sci-fi question, what does it mean to be human?
Yeah, the big one.
And instead of playing it straight, it mines it for laughs successfully.
And the reviewer's own reaction seems to back that up. They mentioned guffawing, laughing a lot.
And flat out calls it the best comedy series I've seen this year.
Yeah.
That's strong praise.
Definitely. So how does it do that? Where's the humor coming from?
Well, according to the review, a lot comes from Secunit's perspective. They use voiceover really effectively.
So you get the internal monologue.
Exactly. You hear its real cynical thoughts, which undercuts what's happening on screen. Lots of jokes land that way.
Okay. And the rest?
The interactions, the super antisocial robot stuck with these very, very human scientists.
Right. The culture clash, basically. Robot versus humans.
Yeah. And the review also talks about the tone, which is apparently quite unexpected.
How so? Given the title, you'd probably expect something kind of dark, right?
Totally. And the reviewer says the first few minutes are like that. Classic dark sci-fi visuals.
Like what?
Metal grating walkways, weirdly wet floors.
Always with the wet floors.
Right. Mining gear, random welding sparks. You know the look.
Oh, yeah. Seen it a million times.
But then it apparently just pivots hard high tone completely, shifts to this bright, kind of arid but airy planet. There's a geodesic habitat painted in these bold, friendly colors.
So a very deliberate visual shift away from the grimdark.
Seems like it. A signal that this isn't going to be what you thought. And then you meet the humans.
Who the review calls. What was it? Space hippies?
Space hippies, yes.
Yeah.
Which sounds amazing.
It paints a picture, doesn't it? What are they like?
Well, prone to spontaneous drum circles. Constantly validating feelings, wearing overalls, lots of cream-colored natural fibers. You get the idea.
I think I do. Very earnest.
Very. And crucially, they treat Secunit like a person, which just messes with its head even more.
Because it wants to be treated like an appliance, basically.
Right. And there's this great example the review gives. The leader, Dr. Mensa, played by Noma Dumezweni, described as acutely and hilariously empathetic.
Yes. She starts telling Secunit about her kids.
Oh no, how does a robot programmed for security handle that?
Well, Skarsgård apparently just conveys acute alarm and growing distress purely through, like, a tiny furrow of his eyebrows, while maintaining the blank robot face.
That sounds brilliant. Subtle visual comedy.
Exactly. And the review emphasizes the jokes are really character-based.
So it's not just making fun of the space hippies in a general way.
No, avoids those lazy, make fun of the wokes kind of jokes, is how the reviewer puts it. Each character gets to be weird in their own specific way.
That sounds more interesting. Are there other notable characters mentioned?
Yeah, a few. There's a Dr. Gurathin, David Desmalkian plays him.
Oh, I like him.
Me too. He's cybernetically augmented, and he's apparently the only one who suspects Secunit isn't quite standard issue.
Ah, the suspicious one. Always need one of those. Then there's a married couple, Sabrina Wu and Tatiana Jones.
Okay.
And they apparently invite the team's bluff, overconfident himbo into their relationship, played by Akshay Khanna.
Wait, in the middle of a dangerous planetary survey?
Seems like it. The review just kind of drops that in there.
Okay, that's certainly specific character stuff.
And it teases some big comedy names popping up, too. Jack McBrayer, John Cho, Anna Konkle.
Oh, wow, proper comedy ringers.
Yeah, says their appearances are too fun to spoil.
Interesting. What about, like, the sci-fi action part? Is there violence?
There is. The review says it features sudden, sporadic violence, but it makes a point to contrast it with other shows.
Like what? How is it different?
It mentions things like The Boys or Deadpool, where violence can be pretty glib, almost nihilistic sometimes.
Right, played for shock or dark humor?
Here, the reviewer argues it's not like that. Death isn't just a throwaway gag. There's apparently a significant act of violence mid-season. And it has real weight, it lingers, the characters actually have to deal with the fallout in later episodes.
So consequences.
Right.
It takes the violence seriously because the characters take it serious.
That seems to be the idea, which grounds it, even with the humor and the, space hippies.
Does it make sense? Anything else stand out?
There's also this mention of a stealthily sweet aspect.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How does that fit with a cynical robot?
It's about Secunit. It's fragile diffidence, as the review calls it, starts to kind of crumble a bit.
Spending time with the humans, the idiots.
Exactly. It's term for them. It suggests there's maybe a growing connection or something emotional happening underneath the surface.
Interesting. So it sounds like the reviewer is really high on this show. Lots of potential.
Extremely high.
Yeah.
But there is a concern they raise.
Oh, what's the catch?
Visibility platform. It's on Apple TV Plus Ring.
Right, which the reviewer calls a walled garden, meaning hard to break through.
Yeah, the worry is it might not find the big audience it deserves because Apple TV Plus isn't quite as ubiquitous as, say, Netflix.
Okay. They compare it to other Apple shows.
They do. Says it deserves mainstream success like Severance got.
Which was huge.
Right. But the fear is it might end up more like the Big Door Prize was mentioned. Shows that are good, fun, find an audience.
But don't quite become part of the big cultural conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They expect it'll find its niche, the book readers, the sci-fi fans, people intrigued by the name.
Sure.
But the reviewer really seems to be making a plea for a wider audience to give it a shot.
Because they genuinely think it's something special. Funny, smart, humanist, stealthily sweet comedy.
And that's the quote. They believe it deserves that broader recognition.
Gotcha.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we focused on Murderbot because this NPR review makes such a compelling case for it.
Yeah, it's this really unexpected blend of sci-fi and genuine character-driven comedy.
With a unique tone, specific humor, and, well, high praise from the source.
And the first couple episodes are out now on Apple TV Plus, apparently.
Right, so you can actually check it out yourself and see if you agree with the hype.
See if those guffaws happen for you, too.
Exactly. And maybe here's a final thought as you consider it. Perhaps looking at what it means to be human through the eyes of a deeply cynical, media-obsessed, antisocial robot. Maybe that's actually the most insightful and possibly the funniest way to reflect on ourselves after all.